of the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Joe Buck. Tim McCarver is coming right up. You know, you never know when the big wheel starts turning what your pitching matchup is going to be like when you show up on a Saturday. It turned up on a good one. This is about as good as either team can throw, with CC Sabathia for the Yankees taking on Tim McCarver, Josh Beckett for the Boston Red Sox.
One of the elite pitching matchups in the young season. Josh Beckett, in only his second start this year, beat the Yankees up at Fenway Park. And Terry Francona said it was one of his best outings, not only of his career, but it really got him going this year. CC Sabathia, on the other hand, has been going since joining the Yankees. He is 19-4 during the regular season here at Yankee Stadium. He is one horse.
This is game number 2 of a 3-game set between these two clubs. The Red Sox won here last night 5-4. It's primetime baseball on Fox. It's the Yankees and the Red Sox. We know they'll be playing late into the evening. That great matchup of the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Joe Buck. Tim McCarver is coming right up. You know, you never know when the big wheel starts turning what your pitching matchup is going to be like when you show up on a Saturday. It turned up on a good one. This is about as good as either team can throw, with CC Sabathia for the Yankees taking on Tim McCarver, Josh Beckett for the Boston Red Sox.
One of the elite pitching matchups in the young season. Josh Beckett, in only his second start this year, beat the Yankees up at Fenway Park. And Terry Francona said it was one of his best outings, not only of his career, but it really got him going this year. CC Sabathia, on the other hand, has been going since joining the Yankees. He is 19-4 during the regular season here at Yankee Stadium. He is one horse.
This is game number 2 of a 3-game set between these two clubs. The Red Sox won here last night 5-4. It's primetime baseball on Fox. It's the Yankees and the Red Sox. We know they'll be playing late into the evening. May here in the Bronx, and we have a chance of showers. We don't believe that we're going to be interrupted here tonight. And one guy you don't want to interrupt when he wants to go somewhere is big 6'7", 290-pound CC Sabathia, who is right in the center of all the action. Opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And the left-hander Sabathia, who has a record of 3-2, will take on this lineup for Boston. Brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. No surprises in there. Maybe the exception is Cameron in right, but J.D. Drew gets the night off against a left-hander. Ellsbury, Pedroia, Gonzalez, who's been red hot. Euclid, Ortiz, Lowry, Cameron, Crawford, and Veritek, the bottom three in the lineup for the Boston Red Sox, who come in 5 games out behind Tampa Bay in the AL East. And there are the numbers this season for the former Indian, short-time Brewer, Sabathia.
The numbers this season, and it's worth repeating that CC Sabathia, since joining the Yankees, 19-4 in this ballpark.
Ellsbury is first up, and he takes a strike, and we're underway on a Saturday night. Jacoby has been tremendous. Since the 20th of April, he's hitting .362. And a 19-game hitting streak snapped on Wednesday. He's been right back at it, hitting 20 of his last 21. He went strike 2. We're watching the Red Sox bat, obviously. When the Yankees come up, there's something to talk about with regard to their lineup here tonight. Terry Francona's team got off to that terrible start, and they've been trying to dig their way out ever since. And now down to first goes Ellsbury as he is plunked with an 0-2 Sabathia pitch.
In last night's ball game, a game won by the Red Sox 5-4, in the 8th inning, Jacoby Ellsbury rounded second base, sprained his ankle, a high ankle sprain, just a bit. He's okay, and now on an 0-2 pitch gets plunked on the right hand. Tough 2 games for Ellsbury.
You can hear the bleacher creatures, as they call him, calling out for Robinson. Now Jeter, as they will get acknowledgement from the players on the field. A tradition here at Yankee Stadium, as it was at the old place. And now the chant has changed. There's a pitch up and away for a ball to Dustin Pedroia, who's hitting .239. It's Pedroia now, Adrian Gonzalez on deck, and then Euclid in the cleanup spot. Gonzalez has pretty much thrown this team on his back. His numbers are staggering of late. Pedroia is still trying to find it at the plate, and Sabathia finds a strike to make it 1-1. Is it too ominous about the Yankees lineup and a big change in that lineup? But I think it's an interesting part of tonight's game.
I do too. I think it's absolutely compelling.
Should I just say it now or wait?
Sure, I'd say it now.
Here's a 1-1. 2 balls and a strike. The change is that Jorge Posada, who was originally in the lineup as the DH and batting 9th, by the way, hitting .165 and struggling. He publicly had no problem with batting 9th. He said he put himself in that position because he struggled as the DH. There's ball 3 to Pedroia, up and away, 3-1. But he was scratched prior to the game. They're not giving a reason. The Yankees are not. There's numbers in his career as a DH. But Andrew Jones found out an hour before the game that he's starting tonight as the DH. Runner goes on a foul. Excuse me, it's a full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ellsbury has to come back.
Ellsbury running on a 3-1 pitch. He most assuredly will be off 3-2. In a hit and run play last night with Cano covering at second base, Pedroia shot one to right field in a similar situation.
There he goes, and a foul back to the screen. And that was an example of how you manufacture a run, something the Red Sox were successful with last night. Something the Yankees have struggled with so far in 2011, as they have relied on the home run to provide their runs, and Joe Girardi would like to see his team a little less reliant on that and a little more able to make something happen on the bases. Another foul. About the scouting report on Sabathia.
He is maturing into one of the elite, and the interesting thing about that first point, it gives us a chance to use the word elite about 2 or 3 times in the first 5 minutes of this telecast. Ground balls with change-ups and a two-seamer. That changeup is very interesting how he developed that, and the slide step very helpful, but he won't use the slide step right here because he's trying to get the batter out.
That's into left center field. That ball is down for a hit. Ellsbury goes first to third as he was running on the pitch. So a base hit by Pedroia, and it's first and third, nobody out here in the first inning for Boston.
It did not appear to me that Granderson saw that ball immediately. He got a poor jump as Pedroia doesn't hit it well, but plops it in front of Curtis Granderson. Granderson electing to go to third as Ellsbury stands up going into third, and a similar situation last night. First and third, nobody out. Same thing in the first inning tonight.
And it brings in Adrian Gonzalez, who went deep last night, also had a sac fly. He leads the American League in RBIs with 31, and swinging the bat average wise, home run wise, he's as hot as there is in baseball. And Sabathia drives him off the plate. Last night he went deep. He's so good at going the other way, but last night pulled one into the second deck in right, and that gave him 7 home runs over his last 10 games. Late on that cut, a ball and a strike.
In order for a left-handed pitcher to be effective against a left-handed hitter in the big leagues, you've got to run the ball in. You've got to make sure early, particularly the first time through the order, that you will pitch inside. First 2 pitches to Gonzalez, high fastballs inside.
Saw the turnaround with the production for Gonzalez in his first year with the Red Sox, and he takes strike 2. Adrian, however, even for as hot as he is still hitting just .255 with no home runs off left-handed pitching in the short time he's been in a Red Sox uniform. Pedroia draws a throw. Adrian Gonzalez, who was picked up by Boston for 3 prospects from San Diego. He was one of the best sluggers in baseball. And nobody knew much about him playing for the Padres. They know about him now. Here's a 1-2. One away.
Back inside.
And a big strikeout for Sabathia here in the first.
Well, what a sequence that was. Strike inside, ball inside, and then the breaking ball, and then back inside with a high fastball. That's where Martin wanted it. That's where Martin got it.
And that's the definition of tying up a hitter.
It is.
And now Euclid. First and third, 1 out for Kevin, who is hitting just .239, 6 homers, 22 RBIs. Ball 1. A little freeze by Russell Martin, who thought that pitch was strike 1. It's called ball 1 by the home plate umpire Mike Winters. Sabathia in a first inning jam finds the strike zone. It's 1-1.
Big blow in last night's ball game. Jabba Chamberlain facing Kevin Euclid with 1 on, and Euclid took Chamberlain deep to right field. That made it 5-2. Red Sox won at 5-4.
The ball has carried here in right field since this park opened in 2009. That's strike 2. And here it is last night. As Euclid said, at Fenway, that's an out. at Yankee Stadium, it is out for a home run. Not a direct quote, but it was the gist.
Paraphrased.
2 out.
That disappearing breaking ball under the bat of Euclid went too far. Sabathia could not have pitched Gonzalez and Euclid any better than he did.
After hitting Ellsbury with an 0-2 pitch and then giving up a base hit with a runner going to Pedroia. It's first and third, 2 out, and here is the DH, David Ortiz. And just to follow up on Posada, Ortiz kind of waded into those waters yesterday when the Red Sox were getting ready here at Yankee Stadium. He said he had talked to Posada about being a DH, and Posada was struggling with it mentally. And Jorge was quoted during the week as saying it's tough to feel like you're just pinch hitting 4 times in a game instead of having a routine and having that other side of the game going out to catch. Runner goes, strike 1 and no throw as Pedroia takes second. That'll be stolen base number 6.
Yeah, Joe, think about what that other side entails. The mental part of catching, the preparedness of a Russell Martin. Most managers will say, forget about the offense. I want you to handle the pitching staff. That's what Jason Varitek did so well for so long. That's what Jorge Posada did so well for so long. And now all of a sudden you're a designated hitter. I think teams, they have thought long and hard before making catchers DHs. And I think after this situation with Posada, major league teams will think about it too. Think about the physical part. How Jorge at age 39, after catching all those games for the Yankees, has his hands so beaten up that it's very difficult to handle a bat effectively.
1 ball, 1 strike, second and third, 2 out. Ortiz, strike 2. And just to put a cap on it, I think it's written all over the face of Posada there. It's a 39-year-old proud man.
Yes.
Who is embarrassed hitting 165.
Yes.
This crowd wants to see Sabathia strike out the side in the first. Two and 2.
Martin wanted it high. Sometimes if you flash that glove above the strike zone, that's the first point. The umpire says, well, you're not going to throw it in the strike zone.
I thought the same thing.
No way.
Second and third, 2 down. Struck out the side. CC into, out of trouble. Beckett takes the hill. No score after a half. Brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Derek Jeter first up, and Granderson, who is tied for the Major League lead in home runs. Teixeira, Rodriguez, Cano. Russell Martin does the catching. Gardner, Swisher, Andrew Jones is the switch into the DH spot, batting ninth. There are the numbers, Tim, for a guy Beckett that I think people coming into the season wondered if he was going to be able to rebound after a bad back and a disappointing 2010.
So far, he has answered those that thought that. Fourth in the American League in earned run average, and one of those wins against the Yankees in his second start of the year.
Talked about the home run chase, and Jose Bautista of Toronto went deep today, so now he leads baseball with 13. The guy on deck, Granderson, will try and keep pace. You know, when you looked at this series as Jeter digs his way in and you looked at the pitching matchups, if you're the Yankees, you say, all right, we've got Cologne against Buchholz on Friday. High and tight, ball one. We've got the pitching matchup of John Lester and Freddie Garcia on Sunday night. Saturday is a game that with Sabathia, I don't care who he's pitching against, the Yankees think this is a game they have to have in this series.
Yeah, even though it's early, that's true.
Base hit. Jeter is on. Career hit 2009, 65. And here is the scouting report on the right-hander Beckett.
Josh Beckett, one of the truly big game pitchers in the game. He's obviously the Sox best pitcher right now, and the key point is that third point. Terry Francona said if he can do early, throw that two-seam fastball in on the hands of left-handed batters, and the Yankees have 5 in the lineup, then it's going to make me very, very happy.
Here's one of them, Granderson, who has become a different hitter since the tail end of last year. With all of the work he's done with Kevin Long, the Yankees hitting instructor, as Jeter draws a throw and gets back safely. Granderson has, in his own words, just simplified.
Shortened his approach, which means he doesn't take his hands back as far as he used to.
While you have Granderson at the plate, this is a Yankee team that has not done a ton of running, but this is a catching situation for the Red Sox. The teams run against, and they are rarely stopped. Combination of Veritek and Saltalamacchia for Boston. It's thrown out only 15% potential base stealers. Good breaking ball from Beckett, and it's an 0-2 count.
Every hitter has to trigger his swing. When your trigger is too far back, when you take your hands too far back, the big league fastballs, you can't catch up to them. So therefore you have to shorten things. Take your hands back not as far, and that allows you to hit the ball out in front of you.
Breaking ball bounces in from Beckett, ball one. Well, since the 15th of September last year, Granderson is number 2 in the league with 19 home runs, behind Jose Bautista's 21. Ever since going to Canada, has just hit home run after home run. He's for Toronto. Here's a 1-2. Same pitch, same result, 2-2. Beckett is a guy that has a body language that reads, "Don't mess with me." Especially on the day he pitches. You walk around the clubhouse of the Red Sox like we did earlier today, and you see Beckett and you just go the other way. You don't want to make eye contact. Just put your head down and keep walking.
His game face is Jack Palance like.
Here is a 2-2. Here goes Jeter, and a foul off the bat of Granderson. About the Ford keys to the game here tonight. Are you going to be as surprised as I am when these things pop up, or did you do these?
No, I did them. Take 2 steps forward for 500. The Red Sox 2 games under, and that's really not that bad, as Terry Francona points out. not after being 2-11 in their first 13 games, and answer the questions. And there are a lot of questions surrounding the Yankees, and they answer those with production.
There's a base hit into right by Granderson. Jeter will stop at second, 2 on, nobody out. So Sabathia got into trouble in the top half, and now Josh Beckett has worked his way into trouble here in the bottom half.
That's what we were talking about the hand. See, they're already back. The trigger isn't that big. That allows Granderson to be able to hit the ball inside with authority, moving Jeter to second base.
We're actually going to talk to Kevin Long later in this ball game, the Yankees hitting coach, and I'm sure Granderson will be one of the topics we bring up. Here's another one, Mark Teixeira, who got off to a great start, but he has really struggled against the Red Sox of late. Hitless last night, takes a strike. 0 for his 17 at bats this season against Boston. And going back to last year, 0 for his last 28 against Red Sox pitching. One of the reasons why Boston has won 10 of the last 15 played between these two clubs. Strike 2. A nice play by McKelliher over at first.
He could pick it when he played, a middle infielder. Broke in with the Cardinals back in the early 70s. There's Mick.
With Rob Thompson across the way, the third base coach. 2 on with nobody out here in the first for the Yankees. Ball 1 high.
That's the pitch that Francona was talking about. That's a 2-seam fastball that tails, starts out inside, and then it tails, or it tries to tail back over the plate. That was a little high, but you get the idea.
Opponents hitting just 174 against Beckett coming into this start. 1-2. 1 out, and a big strikeout for Beckett to get to Teixeira and to bring up Alex Rodriguez.
This looks like a replay so far of the top of the first. Even though the Red Sox had runners on at first and third, nobody out. Sabathia got Gonzalez, and Beckett gets to Teixeira.
See the difference between home games and road games for Beckett, a stat that always catches your eye, Tim, I know. But it is a difference when you pitch in a park as unique as Fenway Park.
Yeah, I'm surprised. We've talked about it before. I'm surprised more pitchers don't pitch well at their ballpark because they're pitching off the same mound over an 81 game period during the course of a season. When you're on the road, you're pitching to different mounds almost every start. Different slope. The mound has to be 10 inches high, but the slope on mounds in different parks vary.
It's only 10 inches high now, by the way, because your guy Gibson had a 1.12 ERA.
That's right, and Juan Marichal 126 in 1968. A year that had 7 20-game winners.
Then they lowered the mound.
Yeah, that's right. There have only been 7 20-game winners the last 3 years in baseball.
There's a strike. So I guess that's when Chick started to dig the long ball back in the 60s.
Prior to 1969, when the mound was lowered from 15 to 10 inches, obviously the mound was 15 inches. I guess
He gave the answer before you got there.
Yeah, I did.
2 on, 1 out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Beckett drives A-Rod off the plate. Alex has been struggling, hitting just $188 since the 24th of April, and he almost walked right into this pitch.
Yeah, both pitchers pitching inside. The first pitch to Derek Jeter was inside. The 1-1 pitch to A-Rod inside. That was after Sabathia hitting Jacoby Ellsbury and then pitching Gonzalez inside. You got to do it.
With Pedroia getting in behind Jeter at the second base bag, Beckett just stepped off. A-Rod has 50 home runs in his career against Boston. He takes up and in ball 3, 3-1. Yankees are just 5 for their last 30 with runners in scoring position over the last 4 games. And that's when we talk about run production and getting a hit when it matters most. A-Rod will watch Veritek go out and talk to Beckett. We can look at the defense while we have a minute. In the outfield, it's Crawford in left, Ellsbury in center, Cameron in right. And around the infield, Euclid, Lowry, Pedroia, Gonzalez is a terrific first baseman. Veritek is the captain, catching Beckett. Terry Francona, who is in his 8th year. Put that lineup together. Here is a 3-1. Full count. We'll see what the Yankees want to do with a full count, 2 on, 1 out. And the power hitting Rodriguez at the plate.
Normally, Joe Girardi does not like to run in a situation like this because A-Rod has a tendency to strike out, particularly against a strikeout pitcher. So I don't think the runners will be running. By not sending them, you quiet things down behind Beckett so A-Rod can concentrate more.
Time call to the plate as Beckett became frozen. Since 04, when these two clubs meet, they have averaged 3 hours 22 minutes in time of game. That is by far the longest ball game and matchup across baseball. Runners do go, and a foul right side. Gonzalez has a play, a big out. 2 out. The runners return to first and second. And this inning is going to be up to Cano. So this is turning into a carbon copy of the top half. And for Cano, we asked Terry Francona, the Red Sox manager, before the game, who is the best hitter in the Yankee lineup? And without hesitating, he said Cano. He said he will hit one of our good pitches. He will destroy one of our bad pitches.
Lightning fast hands with power to left and power to right.
Strike 1, and it was loud.
And it was lightning fast. That's how you can pull a ball off the plate down into the right field seats. Foul.
There's an attitude with Cano. We talked about the attitude of Beckett. Maybe not when he's at the plate, but this guy's got a smile on his face, it seems, all day, every day. 2 on, 2 out, strike 2. And Beckett is one good pitch away from getting out of a first inning jam after allowing back-to-back hits to start it.
There was major concern the other night on Thursday night when Nathan Babcock of the Kansas City Royals hit Robinson Cano in the head. Steve Donahue, the trainer, and Gene Monahan took him out of the game for cautionary reasons. But there was, we were talking about it with Joe Girardi, there was a smile on his face then. But Yankee fans and Yankee players were very concerned. He's all right.
Played the next night. They took him out. Took him in for a precautionary look. He checked out fine, and now for the second time in this inning, Veritek is out to talk to Beckett, and here it is against the Royals, and it was right on the temple, right above the ear. Wow. There's Steve Donahue looking into the eyes of Cano. And thankfully, he was all right. Royals won that series 2 out of 3. What a good job by Beckett. First 2 reached, next 3 didn't. After 1 at Yankee Stadium, no score. Two of the game's greatest legends treated fans to 2 of the game's most endurable feats. Joe DiMaggio's hit streak began on May 15th, 70 years ago. Tomorrow lasted for 56 games. And then Ted Williams, the last man to hit 400, went 6 for 8 on the last day of the year to finish with a 4.06 average. That was back in 1941. And here are some of the maybe unbreakable records. DiMaggio, the streak. The Ironman streak of Ripken. Great Oral Hershiser, 59 consecutive scoreless innings pitched. And then 7 no-hitters for the all-time strikeout king of Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan had 2 asterisks. 7 no-hitters, over 5,700 strikeouts. By the way, during that DiMaggio streak, he hit .408 with 15 home runs and 55 RBIs over that 56 game hitting streak.
And I don't believe he missed an inning.
No.
That entire streak.
No, that's right.
You say that because Andre Ethier had a 30-game streak that ended this past week, but he took a game off. So then there was conversation, does the streak continue? Yeah, it does. But it points out the brilliance of DiMaggio back in 41 with 56 straight. As Sabathia has run the count to 3-0 on the leadoff hitter Jed Lowry, who has taken over the shortstop position for the Red Sox. Strike 1.
In 1933, when Joe DiMaggio was playing for the San Francisco Seals, he hit in 61 in a row. Now that was AAA ball. But nonetheless,
Little League, it doesn't matter.
Come on.
Little flare down the right field line, foul, and Teixeira can't get there full count. Let's look at 1941. And we compare DiMaggio and the hit streak. Won the AL MVP. And then you've got a guy, Ted Williams, who hit .406 with 37 home runs to lead the league, and DiMaggio led the league in RBIs.
Staggering.
Here's a 3-2 to Lowry. And a good job by Sabathia, who floats a changeup, which is what he will do against right-handed batters. Route number 1, and he struck out 4 in a row.
CC telling us yesterday that that's the difference of his pitching now as opposed to 10 years ago when he broke in with Cleveland. That changeup, by the way, was mastered when He was with the Milwaukee Brewers, and Mike Maddox was his pitching coach. And Mike has done such a good job now as the pitching coach with the Texas Rangers.
With one out, here's Cameron, and there's a line drive to Jeter, 2 out. And with 2 out in the inning and nothing shaking, Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And by Sprint. All together now. Beautiful night. We thought we might have some rain tonight. We still may. More in the sprinkle category than anything heavy. That's what they're calling for. As Carl Crawford takes the ball down and away. 60 degrees at the start of the night, but it's pleasant. And it's packed. And we're glad you're with us on Fox on a Saturday night. Here's the 1-0. Strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
April, the cruelest month of Carl Crawford's career.
Hit 155. Scored only 6 runs after that big 7-year deal. At $142 million, it was like an anchor that he was lugging around. He had a 13-game, making an 11-game hitting streak that ended here last night. But he has been over 300 in May. Now hitting in the number 8 spot. Here's a 2-1 from Sabathia. 2-2.
Thing about the Tampa Bay Rays and who they're missing this year: Carlos Pena, Carl Crawford, Matt Garza, Jason Bartlett, Dan Wheeler,
and yet
they're 2 games in front of the Yankees.
Soriano, their closer.
Soriano is the setup man for the Yankees. That's after a 1-8 start for Joe Maddon's crew.
It's ball 3. A 1-8 start. 22-7 since. The 3-2. That's Cano. Into the inning. Bottom of the 2nd in the Bronx. Red Sox, Yankees, no score. Presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by Bud Light Lime, the just right taste of Bud Light with a refreshing splash of 100% natural lime flavor. Russell Martin first up, then Brett Gardner, then Nick Swisher. Martin is now the catcher for the New York Yankees. We talked at the beginning of the night about the DH, Jorge Posada, being scratched late, hitting 165. Does have 6 home runs. He is available. The Yankees were giving no word as to why he was a late scratch. We will get definitive word here in just a moment from their general manager, Brian Cashman, who was standing by with Kenny Rosenthal. There's a strike, and it's a 1-ball 1-strike count on Martin, who has the most home runs among catchers across the big leagues with 7. He hit 5 all last year in LA. Here's a 1-1. And we go down now as that one will find the seats. Here's Ken Rosenthal outside the Yankee locker room.
Thanks, Joe. Here with Brian Cashman. Brian, why is Jorge Posada not in the lineup tonight?
Well, around 6 o'clock, he came into Joe Girardi's office and removed himself from the lineup. It's not an injury situation, so that's all I can report right now.
What are the ramifications of this, but both for tomorrow, for the long term? What is his future?
I don't know. Obviously, this is all happening rather quickly, so we'll see. My understanding is he talked to our media relations director, a short time ago, and he'd like to talk to the press after the game about it. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But so I think I don't want to speak for Georgie. I've spoken to him already, but I don't want to speak for him. So, they'll have access to him after the game.
How surprised were you that he came to you guys tonight and said, "Hey, I can't go"?
Yeah, I don't want to comment. But that's where we're at.
Brian, thanks. Joe, back to you.
All right. Obviously, our thanks to Brian Cashman, who has been so forthright all season.
All his life.
I mean, in his last year under contract with the Yankees, and guy who started with this organization as a 19-year-old intern, his 25th year. Here's a strike to Gardner after Russell Martin popped out to start the inning. But imagine the motion for Jorge Posada sitting on the bench, taking himself out of the lineup, trying to make it work as a DH. It's not working to this point for Posada. Took himself out of the lineup. And, you and I have done, it seems, a million Yankee games over the years, swooping down as the guys who come in for the postseason, guys who come in for Saturday games. He is one of the rocks of any franchise, just the foundation, one of the foundation pieces for this team. With 5 rings, a proud man, a hard worker who was trying to get used to a new role. And to this point in 2011, it is not working.
Part of that core 4 of the Yankees: Andy Pettitte, Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada. Now it's the core 3. And who knows after tonight's game what that number will be.
Good race to the bag, and Beckett wins it 2 out. And that's the speed of Gardner, and it looked like Beckett's foot got there in time.
Funny thing, when a ball is hit to the right side of the infield, a catcher says, "Get over there." And the reason for that, he tries to remind a pitcher, because a lot of times they do not cover in time. But a great call by first base umpire Mike Everett. I mean, he was out by the width of a shoelace. All right, maybe the length of a shoelace. Would you believe, as Don Adams used to say? Oh, man.
So Gardner is out, and Nick Swisher is the hitter. And Veritek went out to the mound for the 3rd time here in the first 2 innings, this time to give Beckett a chance to catch his breath. Ball 1 high.
And Joe, we asked Joe Girardi about the catcher saying, "Get over there" on the ground ball hit to the right side. Remind the pitcher to get over there. And Yankee catchers do that, as do most catchers in the American League. It's ingrained in catchers.
So much so that it still runs through your mind every time there's a ball hit to the right side.
The first 2 years I was a broadcaster with the Philadelphia Phillies in 1980 and 81, several times I would yell, "Get over there." And I was a broadcaster. It wasn't my responsibility anymore. What's going on?
1 ball, 1 strike, and Swisher hops out.
That's a fact.
But that's gone now. You don't.
It's gone. No, I just think it now.
Here's a 1-1. In the air to left, easy for Carl Crawford. Both pitchers have settled down. We've played 2. There is no score on a beautiful night in this great city. Back to the Bronx after this from your local Fox station. By Lowe's as we go into the 3rd inning here at Yankee Stadium, and there is no score. Sabathia has retired 6 straight, and he deals with Veritek. And strike 1. The catching situation for the Boston Red Sox at the plate has produced a combined average of 185. Saltalamacchia, the switch hitter that the Red Sox picked up from Texas, former Atlanta Braves player as well, has struggled. They're not throwing out potential base stealers, and you wonder if that's an area that the Red Sox, as we go through 2011, will try and upgrade as this season wears on. The combination of the two. See that bottom line, thrown out 15% of potential base stealers, and there's the average. No home runs. That is tied with Minnesota, by the way, of all teams, and that points out the lack of Joe Mauer, who is still trying to get his leg strength back. It skips in 2-2. Talk to Kenny Rosenthal a bit later on about that situation and some of their options. There aren't many. When you talk about good big league catchers available, that's high in a full count.
Yeah, there's several things. It's very difficult to develop a catcher, a major league catcher, caliber of a major league catcher, and it's also very difficult to bring up a young catcher in the middle of the season. Not that familiar with major league pitchers, particularly when you're bringing them up in the heat of a pennant race. That's why it's more important to sign a guy like Russell Martin, as the Yankees did, Signed him for $4 million, a 1-year contract, and so far he has been excellent.
3-2, reaching for a good pitch. And the flip for the out. DirecTV game break. Let's go to Chris Rose and Mitch Williams. Baltimore now gets their 18th win of the year, and a chance for the Yankees to get to within 1 and the Red Sox to get to within 4 of the top spot in the division. 2 out.
Get over there.
It's going to come back. You're going to wake up saying that tomorrow in your 3-bedroom suite in Midtown. You look at the difference in the AL East standings through the 10th of April. It's been a flip-flop. Baltimore was on top. Now they are down tied for the bottom spot, but it's a tight division, obviously, and should remain so. Toronto's better. Baltimore's better than they've been in years past. They finished last year so hot under Buck Showalter. That should continue. That's foul. 2 out, nobody on. Pedroia has a base hit, a stolen base. And I know he's struggling, but there aren't many, Tim, better number 2 hitters in any lineup in baseball than Petey, as they call him in Boston.
We talked about the number 2 hitter for the Yankees, Granderson, and how short he is to the ball, and that's why he's so successful. Dustin Pedroia is not short to the ball. However, he gets the job done. Now, obviously, he's off to a bad start, but the MVP of a couple of years ago. General managers in the major leagues would love to have.
Yeah, there's not a team around that wouldn't want him.
Irrepressible in his demeanor.
Counts 0-2. Crowd 1 strikeout number 5. And they got it. Bottom of the 3rd inning in the Bronx. Red Sox and the Yankees, no score. Here at Yankee Stadium, the DH is Andrew Jones. who is in his first year with the Yankees and so far is off to a .226 start. Then Jeter, then Granderson against Beckett. And a good breaking ball in for strike one. Kevin Long is the hitting coach in his 5th season for the Yankees. 44 years old. 18 years in the minor leagues. 8 years as a player in the Royals organization. As Jones comes up empty, strike 2. And we had a chance to visit with Kevin Long during the break. Play you that interview after Andrew Jones does something to start the bottom of the 3rd inning with no score. Yankees Red Sox. And that's ball 1. All those years with the Atlanta Braves. A couple of really tough years with the Dodgers for Andrew Jones. And now trying to make it in a Yankee uniform after stunning Yankee fans in game 1 of the '96 World Series with the Braves with 2 home runs. There is out number 1 of the inning. And with Granderson due up after Jeter is walking to the plate. First question to Kevin Long was about the change in Curtis Granderson.
Well, he's been swinging a hot bat, and he's, since last year really shortened his swing, and he finds himself in a good spot, and, he's doing damage, picking up big hits along the way, and just doing a terrific job.
How's that guy behind you doing, Derek Jeter? It looks like it's starting to unfold, and he's starting to figure it out.
He looks pretty good. I'll tell you what, he's had a couple good weeks, and we've really seen him swing the bat well, and he's done a nice job at the top of our order.
You sold any books?
I hope so. Maybe a couple.
Go ahead, give it a plug. Come on, this is a professional.
Cage Rat, just about a guy who persevered in the minor leagues for a long time and ended up, making it to the top of the New York Yankees. Good baseball stories and good stories along the way.
Think it'll be a movie?
No chance. I get Danny DeVito playing me, though.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, thank you.
Alex Rodriguez wrote the foreword. I think Granderson wrote the afterword.
Maybe. Epilogue.
Bibliography. And Alex Rodriguez really credits Kevin Long with instilling confidence in him, and that's half the battle as a hitting coach, is to give these guys confidence at this level. And yes, they do need that to go up there and try to hit big league pitching.
Just like pitchers do.
Beginning of the year, there was so much talk about Derek Jeter scrapping his stride when he would take a swing. A strideless approach. He's gone back to the old way of hitting, and he is out number 2 here in the 3rd inning. And with Granderson coming up, here's another DirecTV game break. All right, Chris and Mitch, thank you very much. With 2 out, nobody on, here's Granderson, ball 1 down and in. Mets now are 18-21. I think all in all, they've played pretty well so far this season.
No, I do too. I agree with that. I think Terry Collins and Sandy Alderson deserve a lot of credit with all the things swirling around from above, the Madoff situation, and trying to make ends meet on the other side of town.
We have them next week. Another primetime game, the Mets and the Yankees. Cubs and Red Sox as well. Here comes a 2-0 pitch. Granderson singled his first time up. 3-0. After Granderson, it's Teixeira. Beckett now has retired 8 straight. Last guy to reach is the guy at the plate, Granderson, with a base hit back in the 1st. Swinging on 3-0, and I guess that's what you do when you've popped 12 home runs through 36 games.
Well, that's exactly what you do, and you choose the right pitch too. That ball down and in. Curtis swinging from his heels, just fouled it back.
Here's a 3-1. Full count. These two pitchers are on here tonight. Talked to Kevin Long about the progress, and there is the swing. As Granderson says, a lot fewer moving parts. As he waits for a 3-2. And rips another one into right. He's 2 for 2. Good play by Cameron to hold him to a single.
Sorry, Joe. That was really a good play by Mike Cameron, who's normally a center fielder. His 9th start of the year in right field. Boy, this ball is on top of him in a hurry. Granderson singling his first at bat, and this ball just hammered. But watch Cameron with those great instincts. Fine play by Mike.
So Granderson is on, and Teixeira steps in, and he is now 0 for 18 against Boston this season in 5 games. Normally a slow starter. That was not the case power-wise here in 2011. Trying to figure it out against Red Sox pitching. He takes ball 1. This is a spot where you could see Granderson take off and test the throwing arm of Jason Varitek. Red Sox have allowed 47 stolen bases this season, the most in major leagues. Staying put on ball 2, 2-0.
Well, Beckett with a slide step toward home. The one thing with a guy like Teixeira, who has the power, short porch here at Yankee Stadium, you don't want to use that slide step too much, concerning yourself with the guy at first base, because if you do, the guy with the stick in your hand will hammer you. That guy's got a lot of power, Mark Teixeira. You can't worry too much about Granderson.
Teixeira, who was courted by the Red Sox before he signed with the Yankees, turned down an 8-year $180 million deal. Out of the championship here 2 years ago. More of a leg kick and a strike over the outside part of the plate. No slide step there from Beckett.
Yeah, Josh is doing a very good job of holding the ball, making Granderson stop, and then varying his delivery. Slide step, high leg kick. That's how you do what you can to stop the stolen base.
Granderson has stolen 3. He's been caught once. It's funny, I think after year 1, everybody looked at that 3-way trade that involved the Tigers and the Diamondbacks and the Yankees, with Granderson being the big piece that came to the Yankees. Thought the Yankees got the short end of the deal. That's not the case anymore. There he goes, and no chance. Stolen base number 4.
We talked about Beckett and how to combat the stolen base. How do you steal it? Run on a curveball. Down and into a left-handed batter. No play.
And now base hit could produce the first run of the night. Full count. 74-mile-per-hour pitch drops in. And Teixeira, who struck out his first time, will wait for a 3-2 pitch.
2 ways to go. The curveball again, or the two-seam fastball inside. It's going to be the latter, I believe. Now Josh rethinks that. Josh probably thinking, I don't know, Tech. Let's do that again.
And that'll put 2 on with 2 out for Rodriguez. First walk of the night for Beckett. Saturday, May 28th, one of the greatest sporting events in the world comes to Fox as Messi and Barcelona battle Wayne Rooney and Manchester United at historic Wembley Stadium. We'll miss 2 of soccer's greatest teams colliding in the UEFA Champions League final on Saturday, May 28th at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific in high def on Fox. It's like the Yankees and Red Sox getting together. As championship soccer comes to you here on Fox from Wembley Stadium. And now again Veritek has to go out and talk to Beckett with 2 on, 2 out. Barcelona, Manchester United are 2 of soccer's greatest teams, by the way, having won 3 of the past 5 Champions finals. And with Granderson at second, to share at first, Rodriguez, who fouled out, and who is hitting under 200 since the 24th of April, waits. Strike 1. Rodriguez, who is in year 4 of a 10-year, $275 million deal. Hired a new agent this past week, Dan Lozano, who will cash in the offseason representing Albert Pujols. That's up and away, a ball and a strike.
Joe, we talked about Barcelona and Manchester United. Well, as is known, pretty well known, the Boston Red Sox ownership owns the Liverpool soccer team in England. Very competitive team, we understand.
And big business.
Oh, boy.
Good curveball has Rodriguez frozen on strike 2.
Well, that was a knee buckler right there. The 1-1 curveball. Beckett has shown he has a very good curveball. When you get Rodriguez doing this, you know how good the curveball is.
Good swing and a foul straight back. Rodriguez did not miss that one by much.
But Beckett did. Veritek was sitting inside, the ball drifting back over the plate. One thing you cannot do with Alex Rodriguez is challenge him on the outer part of the plate. You can throw the ball off the plate away, but not on the outer part of the plate. He has tremendous power to right center field.
And as we mentioned, 50 career home runs against the Boston Red Sox. Most among active players. That is just inside, 2-2.
That was close. You can see Veritek setting up late. The reason for that is because of Granderson being on at second base. You may not be able to relay a sign, but you can relay location very easily from second base.
Man with 619 career home runs takes ball 3 high, and the runners will go. Runners go, and a strikeout ends the inning. Beckett has struck out 4. He strands 2. Yankees have left 4. They go to the 4th. In this great rivalry tonight, no score. The pitching is dominated in this game as we go to the 4th inning, no score. And the heart of the lineup will bat for the Red Sox. That means Gonzalez, Euclid, and Ortiz, who all 3 struck out back in the 1st with 2 on. Gonzalez was tied up his first time up on a pitch up and in on a strikeout, and Sabathia misses down and away with ball 1. Adrian Gonzalez has hit 8 home runs on the year. It's 7 of them in his last 10 games. And he is jammed here. 1 out. There's more on the Jorge Posada story developing here tonight. Let's go back down to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. Well, the Yankees could say that Jorge Posada is in breach of contract and try to dock him 2 days' pay. If he refused to play again tomorrow, they could say he was eligible to have his contract terminated. Now, of course, it's never that simple. That would probably be challenged by the union, by Posada's agent. But this is clearly not a very easy situation for anyone. And one thing to keep in mind, people have asked, is he retiring? I doubt very much he is walking away from the rest of his $13.1 million salary.
Kenny, we need to keep Ken around. A couple of things, in case people are just tuning in. About an hour before the game, Jorge Posada, who was in the lineup as DH, a role he struggled with this season, batting in the number 9 spot, took himself out of the lineup. Ken Rosenthal talked with Brian Cashman. He went through that process. Now some of the writers are tweeting from here at Yankee Stadium, Kenny, that Jorge Posada was upset that he was put in the number 9 spot, and that preceded him leaving the lineup as Rodriguez takes care of Euclid, 2 out. You had a different feel about that, at least with regard to what Posada said publicly before the ball game.
Right. Joe, when we gathered around his locker after the lineup went up and we asked him about it, he was fine. He said, listen, I put myself in this spot. He blamed no one but himself. Now, clearly, his frustration must have built to the point where he wasn't ready to play. Now, what exactly happened in Gerardi's office remains to be seen, But this is a situation that is going to evolve even if he returns. Because keep in mind, the Yankees have a top hitting prospect at AAA named Jesus Montero. He's starting to get hot. He could be the guy that replaces Posada if Posada is either released or if he retires. And the other thing is, if that DH spot opens up, they've got a spot then to rest some of their older players like A-Rod and Jeter at certain times, use them as the DH. So if Posada is not going to produce, and if he's not willingly going to play, they will move on without him.
Right now, the Yankees are in game 5 of playing in 16 straight and 32 games in 33 days. That's what Kenny talks about, trying to rest some of their older players by putting them in the DH role. Montero is hitting .325 at AAA in 28 games with 2 home runs. That misses. Montero is at Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and he is the catching prospect, but more a hitting prospect who catches. And if he stays hot, and Posada, whatever happens contractually with Posada, or if he doesn't figure it out at the plate, that's the most likely replacement as far as a call-up would be concerned. That pitch is high and fouled straight back, and the count stays 1-2.
Get back to your point earlier, Joe, about a proud man. Well, this proud man has been put in an atypical situation. Jorge Posada has been the perfect warrior for 15, 16 years with the Yankees. But as Ken said, we don't know what went on in the office between Joe Girardi and Jorge Posada. Interestingly, Girardi was the catcher before Jorge Posada with the Yankees back in 1996.
That's strike 3 at the knees. Ortiz doesn't agree. Bottom of the 4th. Yankees Stadium, no score. Get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. We are joined in the booth by, as Josh Beckett goes back to work, Sarah Silverman, who is here representing all of the Red Sox fans that are out there, wherever you may be tonight. That's Tim McCarver there to your right.
Sarah?
As Cano leads off and takes a strike from Josh Beckett. Now, you're here to promote your new show on Fox, right?
I am?
No.
Oh, I was so excited for a second.
No, I know you're not. Truth be told, we were going to, on this primetime game, have a celebrity who is a Red Sox fan represent Boston, and then somebody who is a Yankees fan. The Yankees half kind of fell through.
That's so crazy. We're in New York City.
And we can't find, I guess, Billy Crystal's busy, or Alec Baldwin, or can't find anybody. So you're it.
I'm going to say it. That's pathetic.
It is pathetic. I mean, it's Yankees Red Sox.
I mean, where's the New York spirit?
You grew up in New Hampshire.
You couldn't even get like a Matthew Broderick or something?
No, we put out calls. No.
Jason Patrick?
Jason Patrick, he's on Broadway in that championship season. Right?
Yeah, I saw it.
And?
He's hilarious in it. He's like he's the comic relief in it.
I know, he's very good.
And our friend Jim Gaffigan, who's a comedian, is in it.
He's
terrific. Hilarious. It's great.
But that's not why we're here to talk about that championship season. Although I'm sure you enjoyed that championship season of the Red Sox back in 2004.
It was bittersweet.
Why?
I'm going to say, well, it was incredible. Coming back like that was incredible. But I'm going to be honest. Being a Red Sox fan is about being a loser. And it was very identity crisis-y to win. And, you know, as Red Sox fans, they're massholes, right? You can say that because it's with an M.
With an M.
And it's not as charming when you're winning.
No.
And a masshole.
But you have to appreciate a team that comes back from down 3 games to nothing.
It was incredible.
To win the whole thing.
It was incredible.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were happy.
I was watching with a whole bunch of Red Sox fans, and it was, you know, every night, every game, and it was incredible. It was so exciting. And then as winners, when we won it all, it was great. And then you're just stuck going,
now what?
Well, what now? This doesn't feel like us.
Did you wait 3 more years and win it again?
I know. I mean, I'm cheering for the Red Sox because it's my nature, like the scorpion and the frog or something.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm not comfortable going all the way with it.
With success.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Personally, and as a Red Sox fan, we're better as underdogs.
But you grew up in New England, so I would imagine that when you live in New Hampshire, which is where I believe Carlton Fisk grew up, you grow up not liking the Yankees organization, correct?
Right, but I will tell you this. I grew up loving the Red Sox, but my dad, he was born and raised in Boston. He's a Patriots fan, he's a Celtics fan, and he's a Yankees fan. He hates the Red Sox.
Cano strikes out, and that's the 5th strikeout for Josh Beckett, who is representing your Red Sox, Sarah, very well here tonight. 5 strikeouts, no runs on just 3 hits. Do you keep up with this stuff day to day, or is this more of like an occasional thing in the world of Sarah Silverman?
I'm going to be honest. It's an occasional thing. I can keep track, and I can talk pretty good, you know, and I know a couple facts I can run with it, but
yeah.
For instance, run with some facts.
Oh no, I got nothing for tonight.
Russell Martin, that's strike 1.
I think steroids are wrong, but what about LSD for pitchers? That works so well for Doc Ellis.
Doc Ellis, that's a well-known story.
That should be okay.
No, we do not condone that whatsoever.
No, not as a developing brain or anything. But if you're a major league pitcher, as a treat.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. We're going to the next topic. How about the Boston Red Sox in 2011? This is a team everybody thought would run away with this division after spending a ton of money in the offseason, and so far, well, they start the night 4.5 games out of first place. You okay with that?
Money doesn't. I am. Well, as you know, as I've been saying, I am okay with it.
Okay.
Feels right.
It does to be from the bottom half of the division, but to me, this is when all things are working right. Is Martin strikes out. This to me, Sarah, is a team that you're going to love following in 2011 before it's all said and done. Is that okay?
I think so too.
Okay.
It's fun to come back, to have, you know, but
have a little bit of a surge at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that.
Now, Yankee Stadium, do you feel comfortable here? Are you wearing a Red Sox hat? This is why this whole thing happened, is you sat next to a Fox executive on a cross-country flight wearing a Red Sox hat.
Yes.
That led to this appearance for you here tonight.
Yeah, well, my hat is it's a Red Sox beanie, and I wear it when I'm cold, which is often because I'm Jewish.
You know what? That's it. That's the end of the inning. Good job, Sarah.
We did it.
Good job, Tim.
Killing over here.
Did it.
Thanks for not testing our delay. God love you.
Really? Did we make it?
Yep, 5th inning, no score. First pitch of the 5th inning is outside for a ball to Jed Lowry, who struck out his first time up. He's 13 of 27 his last 8+ games against Yankee pitching, and this guy Tim has just taken over the shortstop position for the Boston Red Sox.
And he is particularly lethal against left-handed pitching, batting .344 for his career against left-handers, so much better as a switch hitter from the right side.
By the way, nice of Sarah Silverman to fly across country and join us here tonight. Surprised still that we couldn't get, you know, a celebrity Yankee fan to kind of balance out the ledger here on May 14th. That is shocking.
Well, we had Kevin Long on earlier.
Yeah.
So that balances things out.
Started to sweat and have flashbacks.
Yeah.
During that conversation.
Yes. I don't blame you.
Not going to tell you what night, HBO. That is a strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes. As we are in the top of the 5th inning. It's like, where are we headed? Let's steer it back.
You can elicit that from some people.
No, well, evidently there's something written on my forehead, my ever-growing forehead, that says, just lay it out there. That's down and in, 3 balls, 2 strikes. But the point is that Sarah flew across country with one of our executives. So if you have an opportunity to fly across country with one of our executives, wear the hat of your favorite team, and you too may find yourself on a Fox Saturday game of the week.
Never know.
Daytime, nighttime, whatever, prime time. But I am a big fan of Sarah's, always have been. A base hit into right. And Lowry is on with just the second hit of the night for the Boston Red Sox. You can help make a baseball moment kids will never forget. Go to ChevyBaseball.com to support youth baseball. Plus enter to win one of 4 trips to the 2011 MLB All-Star Game in Arizona and the keys to a new Chevrolet. Here is Cameron, who lined out to short. Hit a rocket off Sabathia's first time up. And he is 8 out of 18 in his career against this big lefty. Here's a strike.
Talked about CC Sabathia earlier and how he was just a thrower when he came up for Cleveland. Played for Charlie Manuel, the manager of the Phillies, his first year in Cleveland in 2001.
Got under it and pops it into right. Swisher, 1 out.
And back in 2001, he could not induce a ground ball double play, but he's very effective at doing that now.
You know, not a lot of people talk about it, Tim, but reading Ken Rosenthal's notes today, which he shares with everybody. Ken must have been great in kindergarten or grade school because he shares. He has information.
That's
and
correct.
He just gives it freely.
He does do that.
He talked about the contract status of Sabathia as Sabathia gives up a base hit up the middle to Crawford, who had his 11-game hitting streak snapped last night. And he is 1 for 2 here tonight. Kind of interesting, Ken Rosenthal, the contract status of Sabathia, who has been here with the Yankees since 2009. I don't hear Ken Rosenthal.
Joe.
Yes, now I got you.
All right, here we go. He has the right to opt out of his deal at the end of this season, the 3rd year of his 7-year contract. And what's interesting is that he would become a free agent at age 31. That's a year younger than Cliff Lee was as a free agent last winter. And Cliff Lee, of course, got a 5-year, $120 million contract from the Phillies. And if you extrapolate this further and you're CC Sabathia, well, you've got better career numbers than Cliff Lee.
But you would say he likely stays a Yankee, but may get years added onto his deal.
Right. He told us yesterday that he was very happy here. His family loves living in New Jersey. They're living here year-round instead of shuttling back and forth to California. My guess is here the Yankees just sign him to an extension, rip up the current deal, and bring the new deal more in line with perhaps what Lee got.
Pitch is down and away, and the count goes to 2-0 on the number 9 man, Varitek.
Meanwhile, CC may stay with the Yankees, but the fact that Lowry stayed on second base, I think, is a base running mistake. It's one of those hidden mistakes that often happens when a player, because of the outs, doesn't try to take the extra base, particularly with your 9th place hitter coming up in Jason Varitek. This ball is not hit sharply to center field. Now, there are times when, in my view, you've got to make an outfielder throw you out. And with 1 out in a scoreless game in the 5th inning, that's the time to do it.
That was on the base hit up the middle by Crawford. And a 4-pitch walk to Varitek. Hitting 154 at the start of the night. And that loads the bases with 1 out for Jacoby Ellsbury. It's Larry Rothschild, pitching coach in his first year with the Yankees. Previous 9, he's the pitching coach for the Cubs and was the first ever manager of the Tampa Bay franchise back in '98. But right now, even lefty on lefty, this is the guy the Red Sox won up. Along with Adrian Gonzalez, he is as hot as it gets in this Boston Red Sox lineup. Ball 1 high, and that's 5 straight that have missed from Sabathia. Lowry, Crawford, and Varitek are the runners. Jacoby Ellsbury is tough to double, and now Russell Martin will go out and talk to Sabathia as Francona talks to his slugger. Gonzalez in the dugout. Tomorrow they race in Dover, FedEx 400, Dover, Delaware. on Fox at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. Carl Edwards is leading the chase. It benefits autism. There's a foul backing out of play, and the count 1-1 on Ellsbury.
You mentioned the difficulty in doubling up Jacoby. The Yankees tried to do that in last night's ball game. Ellsbury's hit into only one ground ball double play this year. You see the defense playing in double play depth, but ball hit to either first or third, they'll come home with it.
And that's in the left center field. 1 run scores. Now Crawford going first to third as Veritek on a 2-run double for the red hot Jacoby Ellsbury. 2-0 Boston here in the 5th.
Brett Gardner playing Ellsbury shallow in left field, and Ellsbury just drives it over the head of Gardner for the first runs of the ball game. Good play by Gardner. The runners obviously from third, who's tagging up. Cameron from second score easily. Veritek going to third easily.
So now Sabathia will have to deal with Pedroia. He's thrown 75 pitches, and pitch number 75 led to the first 2 runs of the night.
Well, Jacoby Ellsbury just doing everything offensively to help the Red Sox crawl out of that hole that they dug for themselves when they were 2-11. Losing their first 6 games of the year.
I mean, he's now hit in 21 of his last 22 games, and he has hit over 360 during that stretch.
A guy with only 78 at-bats last year. He played in 18 games.
How about this? Pedroia gets the walk to load him up. And this, I think, has to do with, more the first 2 at-bats of the night by Adrian Gonzalez against Sabathia than anything else.
Excellent point.
Sabathia struck out Gonzalez back in the first with first and third nobody out, and then got him on a weak ground ball to the first baseman. But in any other circumstance, this is one of the last guys around baseball you'd want to see at the plate.
Well, we're going to take a look at the sequence of how Sabathia pitched Gonzalez his first at bat. Inside with a fastball, back in there, the breaking ball for a strike, and then back in there to get him on strikes. So obviously Gonzalez remembers that. He also remembers his second at bat where he jammed him on a ground ball to first base. So we'll see how Sabathia pitches him.
Red Sox have not hit a grand slam this year, and that pitch misses down and in ball 1. First 2 walks of the inning, the last one intentional to Dustin Pedroia. Gonzalez with 4 grand slams in his career. Sawed him off. Rodriguez will go to second, out. Cano turns it brilliantly, and the Red Sox get only 2. Yankees walk Pedroia and get out of the inning by getting Gonzalez on the double play. 2-0 Boston after 4.5. Yankees uniform. It's been a history filled with records, streaks, perfection, all-stars, MVPs, and triple crowns. 27 championships. The only thing missing, someone to hit for 3,000. That man Jeter is due up third here in the fifth. Derek Jeter, who is now 35 hits away. First up is Swisher. Flight out to left his first time up, and he fouls it back, strike one. Swisher, then Andrew Jones, then Derek Jeter. Here in the fifth, 2-0 Boston on the two-run double by Ellsbury. Good pitch, and the bottom fell out of it after it crossed through the strike zone. It's an 0-2 count.
Joe, a very unusual double play with the bases loaded and one out. Hit into by Adrian Gonzalez because the ball wasn't hit that hard. That's one of the prerequisites of a double play. You have to get a hitter to hit it hard enough so the infielders can make the play.
That's ball one.
The other thing is that Robinson Cano had so far to go to the bag. That's why Rodriguez had to underhand it to him, and then the strong arm of Cano completes the double play.
Yeah, that's the other big point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Cano has got as good an arm as any infielder you'll find playing any position across the big leagues.
You won't see another second baseman complete that double play, playing that far away from second base to begin with.
2 balls, 2 strikes on the hitter. Box has 3 and 1. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes on Swisher, leading off the inning, and now that's strike 3. And strikeout number 7 for Beckett, who was putting Tim together his 8th terrific start.
Boy, his curveball has been lights out, going down on the left-handed batters. That's how he's neutralized the Yankee left-handers thus far. Great curveball.
And it brings in Andrew Jones, who struck out his first time, and it was hitting just .219. Bottom of the 5th inning, it's 2-0 Boston, and the first to Jones. See the bottom just dive out of that pitch at the end right when it gets to Veritek, strike 1.
Fastball sinking, curveball going down. Everything down from Beckett so far tonight.
Here's the 0-1. Breaking ball misses down and away. Josh Beckett last season was 6-6 in 21 starts. Had a bad back, an ERA of 5.78. As he misses up and into Andrew Jones. The guy was the 2nd overall pick by the Marlins back in '99. Was a star with Florida in the 2003 World Series and that postseason in general, when the Marlins beat the Yankees in 6 games. And he was traded to Boston in the winter of 2005 with Mike Lowell. That was a deal that helped both sides, as that misses low, 3-1. Hanley Ramirez went to the Marlins along with Anibal Sanchez. Terrific right-handed starter. As you look at Game 6 numbers from the 2003 World Series, this guy has developed into a big game pitcher as he gives up a 1-out base hit off the bat of Andrew Jones here in the 5th. Look at that view on Fox Saturday Baseball. It's presented by Lowe's. Lowe's, let's build something together. Empire State Building all lit up. Here in the spring of 2011. And Derek Jeter walks in 1 for 2. Talking to Gerardi before the game, the Yankee manager, he said we're starting to see Jeter hit more line drives. Starting to see him hit with more authority as he has stopped thinking about hitting and has started to just react again as he takes down an in-ball one.
Roberto Clemente getting hit number 3,000 against John Matlack. And the horrible, tragic death of Roberto right around Christmas 1972.
Barely missed in the count, 2-0. Yankees leading home run hitter, the number 2 man in baseball, Curtis Granderson, on deck. That's inside, and the count 3-0.
That's where American League pitchers try to pitch Jeter inside. No way will Derek be swinging here. He is not a home run hitter. He has only 2, and that was in one game against Texas last week.
Strike one. And when he went deep with 2 on Sunday, it broke a streak of 62 games without a home run. What does Jeter get with a count of 3-1, a runner at first, 1 out here in the 5th? He gets ball 4 up and away. And it brings in Granderson as we give you tonight's Jeep game summary. Hockey update with Tampa Bay, the Lightning leading the Bruins 3-1 after 1 in game 1 of their series. Jacoby Ellsbury with a 2-run double in the 5th. Beckett has been outstanding. And the Yankees in this series, after losing last night 5-4, are 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Here's Granderson with a chance to make that number look better. Strike one. Up to 286 with his 2-for-2 night.
2 solid at bats by Granderson against Beckett so far tonight.
Strike 2.
Talking to Terry Francona before the game about Granderson and that splitter he hit off Jonathan Papelbon last night that was about 7 inches off the plate. And Terry said, I've never seen Curtis Granderson locked in like he is right now.
He said he's going to get pitches that he never went to get before, and he's hitting them with authority.
Right.
2 on, 1 out. The 0-2. Ball and 2 strikes. Matchup with the lefty John Lester. He's coming off a rough start in Toronto tomorrow night for Boston against Freddie Garcia. Coming off a win over Kansas City on Tuesday. 1-2. 2-2. Yankees have lost 3 straight and have dropped 7 of their last 10. Have lost their lead in the AL East. They're a game and a half out at the moment. Tampa Bay lost earlier to the Orioles.
Told you he smiled a lot.
Inside, a full count.
interesting at bat by Curtis Granderson. Beckett went up 0-2, and then 3 balls inside off the plate. Now, if you're Joe Girardi, do you send the runners? I think so, with Granderson locked in like he is.
Lead man Andrew Jones, Jeter behind him.
Nope.
Not going, and a pop-up. Veritek. Out number 2. So a big pitch and a big out for Beckett. And this inning falls right into the lap of Mark Teixeira. First time tonight Granderson's been retired.
Biggest out of the game thus far.
Teixeira walked his last time up, struck out in the first. It is not often we have a top recording artist that gives us some music, and we thank Paul Simon for giving us 4 songs here tonight. Played at the Beacon here in New York this past Tuesday. That'll take us to break. What will the score be at the end of 5? Strike 1. Paul has a new album out called So Beautiful or So What. And the song will be Dazzling Blue. And it's up to Teixeira and Beckett here with 2 on, 2 out in the 5th. Strike 2.
Beckett caught Mark Teixeira looking for a breaking ball, and Mark takes a ball that he usually swings at. That fastball right in his wheelhouse.
Fouled off to the right on a breaking ball. I believe Paul Simon is on SNL tonight. That is good information. It has been confirmed.
Cuckoo Kadoo.
Teixeira waits for another 1-2 pitch. And another strikeout for Beckett. And another one of Teixeira. 2-0 Boston after 5 here at Yankee Stadium. Take it away, Mr. Simon.
With you and I were born beneath a star of dazzling blue. Dazzling blue. Dazzling
The dramatic music must mean it's prime time on Fox. Yankees and Red Sox as we go to the 6th. And Euclid, first pitch swinging. Jeter got him. What a good play. And Euclid spins around, upset he was called out. Jeter handled that slowly hit ball to perfection. 1 out. Was he out? I think so.
Yeah, I think Euclid argues that play with first base umpire Mike Everett. Mike Everett's had 3 tough calls at first base tonight and made them all very, very well. Good call.
With 1 out, nobody on, Ortiz takes a strike. Everett is at first. Mike Everett. Mike Winters is behind home plate. Mark Wegner is at second, and Chris Guccione, who worked the plate here last night, is over at third. Here's the 0-1. Cano. 2 out. And Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball across the country, and by Predaxa. Our blimp has fireworks somewhere over New York City as we play here in the Bronx. And work in the top of the 6th inning with Jed Lowry. You don't see the old double ear flapped helmet very often, but Lowry wears it with pride. Switch hitting shortstop. The 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lowry single to get that 2-run rally started in the 5th. And they have really found something here in Lowry. Marco Scutero, who also plays short, is on the disabled list with an oblique strain as Lowry takes outside, ball 2.
And the Red Sox have recalled Jose Iglesias, the 21-year-old shortstop from Cuba. Boy, he is supposed to be something. Terry Francona raving about him before the game tonight.
Actually went to see the Lion King on Thursday.
Oh, he did. Oh, not Terry, but Jose.
No, Jose Iglesias, who is learning the language and doing well with it. A-Rod ends the inning. Good play. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Yankees coming up, heart of their lineup. 4, 5, and 6, down 2-0. By DirecTV, get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV. First pitch from Beckett is a strike to Rodriguez, who's 0 for 2. 3, 4, 5 hitters, heck, 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters are all hitless tonight for New York. It has been an all or nothing offense so far this season. As Matt Albers gets loose, a workhorse for the Orioles the last couple of years. He's been on the DL this year with Boston, but he's been good his first year with the Red Sox.
He's been good against the Yankees for his career.
Great numbers in 2 starts for Beckett against the Yankees so far this year. Rodriguez wouldn't go after it. Ball 1. Rodriguez is fouled out, struck out. And the count stays 1-2. And that's why Albers is getting loose. That was pitch number 100. Beckett has gone through 7 4 times this year. He is working now in the 6th. The Yankees make you work. 2-2.
Plus, you go through 5 innings and you strike out 8. You know you've thrown a lot of pitches.
Rodriguez steps out. Cano will follow, then Russell Martin. 2-0 Boston. Each side has 4 hits. And strikeout number 9 for Josh Beckett. Wilfred, a new original comedy starring Elijah Wood, premieres next month on FX. FX that is on a roll, cranks out hit after hit. Wilfred is their latest offering to you, the general public. As Robinson Cano steps in 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Down the left field line, Crawford over to grab it. 2 out. Hey, there's more on the Jorge Posada story, and gosh, I'm glad Ken Rosenthal's with us tonight. Kenny?
Joe, thanks. I am now hearing that Jorge Posada asked out of the lineup because of back stiffness. I'm told that by a source close to Posada. Obviously, this directly contradicts what Brian Cashman told us. Cashman specifically said that Posada was not injured. Remember, Cashman also said that Posada planned to talk to reporters after the game. There are a lot of questions that need to be asked and a lot of questions that need to be answered. And one more thing. The Yankees can try to void that contract, but the chances of it happening are extremely slim. The only player to ever have his contract voided, Sean Chacon, and he punched his GM.
That'll get you to lose your job. But yeah, I think the score as what a play by Euclid.
Oh man!
Wow! To end the inning, and then Russell Martin trips. They hope he's okay. Look at this play by Kevin Euclid.
You cannot make a play and reach any farther than Euclid did with an accurate throw.
Still 2-0 after 6. Back to the Bronx after this from your local Fox station. Sabathia has done his part, but Beckett's been even better.
Boy,
Beckett has been terrific, and it's a 2-0 Red Sox lead after 6. Josh Beckett has struck out 9, allowed no runs on 4 hits, stranded 6. And I guarantee on a night like this, the way he's pitching, whatever the pitch count may be, if Terry Francona wants to get him out of the game, there will be a serious discussion that will take place, because Beckett doesn't seem the type that will bow out after 105 pitches. Two balls and a strike on Mike Cameron.
Mike Cameron on camera here. I mean, Josh Beckett's pitching like he did 7 years ago. I don't think I've seen him pitch a game for the Red Sox quite as effectively as he's done tonight, with a great curveball and a good fastball. His location, staying ahead of the hitters, everything.
There's a ball up and away, 3-1.
And the fact that he's throwing so many curveballs tonight, I mean, that's been his staple. He's probably thrown 20 to 25 curveballs tonight.
By his own admission, he struggled with that curveball his last time out.
Mm-hmm.
And now a leadoff walk puts Cameron aboard to start the 7th. Tim, I'd like you to spend part of your time next weekend with a guy down below the booth that's been yelling for the last 2 hours.
Well, I'll be in New York the next couple of weeks. I might do that. Why not?
Guys can go to the MLB fan cave.
Yeah, go see that championship season tomorrow, maybe.
There's another reference.
Matinee, yep.
There he is.
There he is. He just loves you and your style.
I know.
Yeah, he does.
Here's Crawford with a foul out of play off to the left. I mean, that guy's a fan, and
yeah,
they have a fan cave right here in Manhattan, which is where David Ortiz paid a visit. And there are 2 guys in there that are watching every baseball game during 2011 and sharing their experiences with fans. So there's got to be some sort of psychological experiment for these 2 guys. See if they're still getting along, see if they're actually still seeing baseball, or if it looks different after watching every game in 2011 in a fan cave. Both are in good health, we understand, and they're doing fine.
That's very good. Good.
Here is a 1-1. That got the attention of the arms and hands of Carl Crawford, ball 2.
That's Sabathia coming inside with a tailing fastball. Carl gets out of the way. Crawford with one of those big hits in the 2-run 5th inning for the Red Sox.
That's the voice of Tim McCarver. I'm Joe Buck. Ken Rosenthal is here as we welcome in a new audience. Those fans that are watching the Cubs and the Giants. This one gets away. Cameron on his toes takes second. And a good job by Cano of backing up. On a wild pitch, Cameron takes second base. If you're just joining us, it's 2-0 Boston on a 2-run double by Ellsbury back in the 5th. And Cameron, Tim, with good base running, was ready to take the base when this thing bounced away from Russell Martin.
And he did just that. The ball didn't bounce that far away from Russell, but the throw was a short hop, and Cameron in on the wild pitch.
Three balls and a strike. Crawford lines one into left field for Gardner. 1 out. Those of you just joining us, here are some of the issues. First of all, you've got Posada, and that's the big story that will come out of tonight, as well as the pitching of Josh Beckett and the Yankees and what they've done in this series with runners in scoring position. But Jorge Posada, who has struggled as a DH, And again, this may get repetitive for those of you who've been with us throughout the night, but he took himself out of the lineup about an hour before the start of the game. He was due to bat ninth, and there are conflicting reports. The latest part of it that's just been added by Ken Rosenthal is that Posada's claiming a bad back. Kenny is still busy down there. Kenny, do you have more on the Posada saga?
Actually, yes. Laura Posada has weighed in on Twitter. She is Jorge's wife, and she tweeted, "Jorge loves being a Yankee more than anything. He's trying his best to help his team win. Today, due to back stiffness, he wasn't able to do that." Clearly, Joe, we have a difference of opinion here on what has gone down. And again, it is important to wait until Posada speaks after the game before really starting to form judgments.
One of the few times that a post-game press conference could take precedence over a game.
Veritek is out in front of a Sabathia changeup in the count 0-2.
Certainly not for the Red Sox, but for the Yankees. Good changeup from Sabathia to Veritek. 0-2 to Veritek. Veritek has been up 33 times this year with 2 strikes, and he has had 1 hit. 1 for 33 with 2 strikes.
Sabathia checks back at Mike Cameron at second base. And again, if you're just joining us, we heard from Brian Cashman, the Yankees GM, early, who said there was no injury to report with regard to Posada. The 0-2. Ball 1. Ellsbury, who has the only RBIs on the night, waits to hit next. 2-run double his last time up. .93-mile-an-hour fastball from Sabathia, who is now over 100 pitches on the night. And the count remains 1-2. The Yankees in the bottom of the 7th will have the bottom 3 in their lineup: Gardner, Swisher, and Andrew Jones. If Posada is injured and out with a bad back, and by the way, if that's his story and he was unable to start, then you would have to believe that he wouldn't be available to pinch hit.
Right.
If he's going to stick with that story.
Right.
Joe Girardi, and that could very well be the case. Joe Girardi has only 2 reserve players on his bench because he has a 13-man pitching staff. Here's a 2-2 and a pop-up foul out of play.
Those 2 players, Edward Nunez and Francisco Cervelli. I must say it's intriguing.
Well, I'll be certainly checking out whatever is said tonight after this game by Posada, by the Yankees, and how that all unfolds, not just tonight, but a nationally televised game here tomorrow night on ESPN. That was a flinch by the home plate umpire, Mike Winters, and I think he overruled himself.
Watch the right shoulder of Mike Winters, the home plate umpire. When that comes up, he's ready to bring that right hand up, but Mike thought better of it, and Joe Girardi did not.
He saw the flinch, I guarantee you.
You bet he did.
And now the count 3-2. Runner at second, 1 out, and a base hit into right center field. It's botched by Swisher, and that makes it 3-0 as Cameron comes in to score. See how they rule it. As Swisher grabbed for it, he missed it, and Cameron scored without a play.
Well, the follow-up on that remarkable stat, Joe Girardi still upset at Mike Winters for not calling Veritek out. But only the 2nd hit this year for Jason Veritek in 34 at-bats with 2 strikes on him. Nick Swisher can't make the play. There is no error given, of course, because Veritek's still at first. Oh, there is an error. I beg your pardon. There is an error on Nick Swisher. But, way I saw that, I don't think Nick Swisher really has a play on Mike Cameron. Cameron off with the bat. He had a good jump from second base. And
well, I'm with you. I don't think he throws him out.
No, I don't either.
But Cameron, just recalling the play, it looked like Tim Bogart may have been holding him up with the red hot Ellsbury coming up.
Yeah, if that's the case, you got to give him an error.
And so there is no RBI for Veritek, and let's watch the runner. This is Cameron, and let's see. And he's coming all the way. I don't know when exactly in that trek toward third the error happened, but it takes an RBI off the ledger from Veritek. We'll see if that official scores ruling stands as the rest of this inning unfolds. 1 ball, 1 strike on Ellsbury as David Robertson, who's been a good piece, the Yankee bullpen, gets loose. That's strike 2.
You know, as far as scoring is concerned, when you consider that you can't assume a double play, how can you assume a throw from right field to get a speedy guy like Mike Cameron?
Here is Ellsbury with out number 2 on a floater to Jeter. By the way, they have changed the scoring, I'm told, and now given Veritek an RBI base hit, no error on Swisher in right. And there's no error, as Tim said, because Veritek did not advance past first.
Right.
Feel good about that now?
I feel okay.
I feel like justice has been done.
Moderately pleased.
I'm sure Veritek does. 1 on, 2 out. Pedroia takes a strike.
For Veritek, only his 3rd RBI of the year.
So he'll take it.
You better believe it.
And it is not the first error of the season on Swisher. That's inside, a ball and a strike. Pedroia tonight's been on twice, a single to stolen base in the first. Struck out in the third and was intentionally walked. And a strategy that paid off for the Yankees back in the 5th. When Gonzalez bounced into an inning-ending double play with the bases loaded. That's high, 2-1. And a base hit into right. Late swing and a base hit. Now Swisher falls down in right, but Veritek doesn't advance to third, and it's 2 on with 2 out for Adrian Gonzalez. And Pedroia is on for the 3rd time tonight as Teixeira couldn't get there.
Good hitting by Pedroia. That ball down and away, and Pedroia taking it away. And one would imagine that with the right-hander warming up and 2 outs, this will be the last batter that Sabathia faces tonight.
Runners on at first and second, 2 out. And Gonzalez, who drove home 2 last night, 1 with a home run, his 8th of the year, the other with a sac fly, bats against Sabathia and takes ball 1 up. Last year, Gonzalez was bothered by a bad shoulder. He had that worked on. He got his contract done during the season. In his early days with the Red Sox, a 7-year deal. And he rips one into right. Gone. 3-run home run. And it's 6-0 Boston here in the 7th.
Terry Francona telling us before the game that Adrian Gonzalez cheats on the high fastball, which means he starts early, and that's exactly what he did against Sabathia. Starting early, you could see that front side leaving, and he was ready for the high fastball. That's how he's been gotten out all night. Not this time.
That swing makes it 6-0 Boston here in the 7th. Sabathia's gone. Robertson coming in, and the Red Sox are having fun here in the Bronx. By the all-new Focus from Ford. Drive 1. And by Warner Brothers Pictures, The Hangover Part 2 in theaters May 26th. The minute that ball left the park, off the bat of Adrian Gonzalez, Terry Francona walked down to the end of the dugout and told Josh Beckett that's it. Now leading 6-0. Beckett will go 6, allowing no runs on 4 hits. Struck out 9 and walked 2. He was terrific. And now Euclid takes a strike and a tight breaking ball from Robertson. Yankees are in danger of losing their 4th straight and their 8th in their last 11. Strike 2. And now Sabathia, over his last 3 starts, has allowed 15 runs in under 20 innings. 19 2/3. That's ball 1. Again, the bottom part of the order coming up for the Yankees in the bottom of the inning. And looking ahead, the Red Sox, who may be gunning for the sweep here tomorrow night, will have their left-hander John Lester on the hill taking on Freddie Garcia. Pitching matchup that favors Boston. That's ball 2.
Joe, you're talking about looking ahead, and I'm sure the Red Sox, with a 6-run lead in this game, perhaps are doing that, but I'm sure Joe Girardi's looking behind at that little flinch from Mike Winters, the home plate umpire, on that 2-2 curveball to Veritek. Otherwise, I mean, you can make a case that the Yankees would have been out of the inning with no runs scored.
Here's a base hit in the left off the bat of Euclid, and now the 8th man to bat in the inning, David Ortiz. The DH will step in. Here is that pitch with 2 strikes to Veritek.
With the score only 2-0, this would have been the second out. Joe Girardi wanted the pitch. Sabathia, Russell Martin, they didn't get it. Veritek shaking his head no. Veritek ultimately got a base hit, an RBI single to right, and then the 3-run home run after the base hit by Pedroia.
And I think you're right about Girardi because he has been ejected.
Oh, he has.
So we never saw Gerardi come onto the field, obviously, but he was upset about not getting that called third strike and was riding the home plate umpire Mike Winters, and Winters has run him. Ball 1 to David Ortiz. Strike 1. Oh, and here's Gerardi. So we missed that during the pitching change.
Right.
It's a good thing I don't have an important job, because that was pretty obvious.
Yeah, was.
Work for the Defense Department or something, I'd miss everything. Here's the 2-1. 2-2. It has been a 4-run inning for the Red Sox. They have 4 hits, a walk, a 3-run home run mixed in by Gonzalez, and now he is homered with his pace. He's gone 6 home runs in his last 6 games. That ends the inning, and here's the big blow that made it 6-0 Boston. Time to stretch. A 3-0 Giants lead. They're in the top of the 7th inning, and obviously still in a rain delay. Tarp is on the field, and as we bring you back inside Yankee Stadium, we're into the bottom of the 7th inning, a 6-0 Boston lead, and they hand it to Matt Albers, who was in his first year with the Red Sox, last couple with Baltimore, and a real workhorse for the Orioles. And he's been good for Boston so far in 2011. We talked about the MLB fan cave. And this week, David Ortiz, Big Papi, visited the fan cave. He also walked around the streets of New York. There's Osborne Earl Smith. Ozzie Smith, he signed the wall. And David Ortiz made some friends, even with Yankee fans, walking around the streets of New York in his Red Sox jersey. You can follow on Twitter at MLB Fan Cave. And you can like the MLB Fan Cave page on Facebook. How good was Josh Beckett here tonight?
Oh, boy. What a dazzling performance after beating the Yankees, holding them to only 4 hits in his second start of the year. He backs it up tonight. No runs allowed in the last 18 and the third innings pitched. And that ties his career high from 2004.
That was when he was still with the Marlins. Mm-hmm. That was the year the Red Sox obviously won it all, ending an 86-year drought, beating the Cardinals 4 straight in the World Series as Gardner, who's 0 for 2, stands in. He's grounded out twice. See the good live arm by Albers as that one zips in there at 93 for strike 1. Luis Ayala is now getting loose. Recently off the DL. Breaking ball misses. Ball 1. Gardner somehow got out of the way of ball 2.
That was a cut fastball right in on the knees of Brett Gardner. As you said, he skips to Malou out of there.
That's ball 3. The Yankees have watched Robertson develop this year, and Jabba Chamberlain has been better. Their big free agent acquisition, Rafael Soriano, has struggled, and now he is some elbow inflammation. The Red Sox, on the other hand, as the count goes full on Gardner, have seen Bobby Jenks go on the DL with Dan Wheeler. They have Daniel Bard, the hard-throwing right-hander, trying to get the ball to their closer Papelbon, who's been much better here this year than a year ago. When he blew 8 saves and had an ERA of just under 4. That's foul.
I think Albers can help in that department with the Red Sox also, particularly against a team like the Yankees. In 17 appearances against New York for his career, he's held the Yankees to a 174 average. Big, strong guy from Sugar Land, Texas, is Matt Albers.
Here is the 3-2 and foul down the left field line to keep it full. Albers, who got into 118 games over the last 2 years with the Orioles, 62 of them last year. Right into the mix for Terry Francona. On the inside corner, 1 away. And that is 10 strikeouts tonight. Beckett had 9, and Albers starts out by getting Gardner. Brings in Swisher, who is one of the hitters on a long list for the Yankees, really struggling. Hitting just .218, 2 home runs. By the way, we showed you Jonathan Papelbon. We want to thank Jonathan and the Red Sox for being available to us during our pregame back at 7 o'clock. Here is one down the left field line for a double off the bat of Swisher with 1 out here in the 7th. We look ahead to next Saturday, and again, it's in prime time. Interleague play is back. The Mets take on the Yankees. The Cubs are at Fenway to play the Red Sox. Rangers and Phillies, A's and Giants. Starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Check your local listings for the game and start time in your area, and look at that last line. The Red Sox won the World Series back in 1918. That's the last time the Cubs were at Fenway Park.
Adrian Gonzalez, we've talked about him, a big 3-run home run in this game. And Starlin Castro, if you haven't seen him play, you are in for a treat. He can flat out dazzle.
And young.
21 years old.
Andrew Jones has a hit. He's 1 for 2. And now in the hole 0-2. The Yankees over the last 4 games are 5 for 35 with runners in scoring position. 1 for 13 in this series. And a big reason why, despite pretty good pitching, the Yankees are in danger of dropping their 8th over their last 11 games.
You know, it's odd, and yet it's not odd. Coming into this game, the Yankees had stranded the fewest runners in the major leagues, only 228 runners. But that's deceptive, because most of the Yankees' runs are scored because the home run ball. Obviously, when you hit a home run, there's nobody out there to strand. 55% of the runs scored by the Yankees have come via the home run.
Now Andrew Jones strikes out for out number 2.
They have really had a tough time with that base to base and plating guys when they get them on second or third, as Andrew Jones goes too far.
Brings in Jeter. He's been on base twice with a hit, a walk, a ground out. Now 35 hits away from 3,000 at 2,965. Strike 1 on the inside corner. Jeter didn't like the call, gets back in. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning in a 6-0 game. Red Sox, who won here last night 5-4. Watch Albers get strike number 2 on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball fouled by Jeter. Into the second period now in the NHL playoff series, with the Tampa Bay Lightning leading 3-1 in game 1 over the Bruins. Down and away, ball 1. Top of this inning, if you are joining us from that rain delay, I think you dipped in time to see Adrian Gonzalez go deep to right. That's the big blow of this game, and now Lowry takes care of Jeter to send us to the 8th. 6-0 Red Sox here in New York. seventh inning at Wrigley Field, a 3-0 Giants lead, as they have vaulted to the top of the NL West. If you haven't paid attention for a while, they have been red hot, the world champs. Here at Yankee Stadium, we're into the top of the 8th inning with Lowry first up against the new pitcher Luis Ayala. Third pitcher of the day for the Yankees, Sabathia, Robertson, now Ayala, who misses outside, ball 1 to Lowry, who's 1 for 3.
His 5th appearance for the Yankees. Tailing fastball, drops down to right-handers, much more effective against right-handers than left-handers, because that's where he misses to left-handers, off the plate away.
Lowry is hitting .327. And the 2-0. 3-0. 6-0 Boston here in the 8th inning, and they've out hit the Yankees 8-5. In for a strike. It's 3-1. Ayala recently reinstated from the disabled list with a shoulder strain. Went on a rehab assignment, and now he's back in part of the bullpen for Joe Girardi. 3-1 pitch. Ayala off the mound for out number 1. Tim, you and I came into tonight and on the air talking about the pitching matchup, and Josh Beckett won that battle with Sabathia. As you look at the numbers from tonight, Beckett was dominant.
Boy, he really was. I mean, great curveball, 9 strikeouts through his 6 innings of work. Best performance of the year for Beckett tonight.
Jorge Posada, you see that top line, took himself out of the lineup initially. Well, it's one of 3 things. Either he's upset about being a DH and that he's hitting 165 and he wanted to put the struggle aside for the night. B, he was upset about being in the lineup and batting in the number 9 spot. Or C, which is a new twist on the story that came out about midway through the game, he's got a bad back.
Well, it's confusing, and it's very difficult for us to make a decision on what is right and what is wrong until the press conference is over and we hear all the facts.
We had Brian Cashman on. He said that there was no injury. Jorge's wife Laura tweeted that he had a bad back. There are all kinds of different stories, contradicting reports regarding what is the number 1 story to come out of this game, I would say.
Absolutely.
Other than the final score, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that part of that core of the Yankees, as Cameron is on with 1 out, was going to hit 9th as the DH and then took himself out of the game before it started about an hour ahead of start time. Tonight's game, presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by the new 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee and by ExxonMobil, taking on the world's toughest energy challenges. One on, one out for Carl Crawford, who has a hit. 1 for 3. Strike 1. Bottom of this 8th inning. It'll be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for New York, who have the benefit of playing 20 of their first 28 games of the season here at home. The give back on that is they have a total, the Yankees do, of 20 home games in August and September combined. Here's a 1-1. Strike 2.
Joe just looking down at the Yankee dugout, into the Yankee dugout, and looking at Gene Monahan, who will be retiring after this year. He is a cancer survivor with the Yankees since 1962, when he started as a bat boy at 17 years old. The year after Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's record. Well, Gene, we have been authorized by Fox Sports, since you are such a huge NASCAR fan, that you have privileges in the pit next February when Daytona runs. It's NASCAR Super Bowl,
yeah.
right? Daytona.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
There's ball 3 outside, so you have authorized his trip into the
That is
pit
correct.
at Daytona next year.
That is correct.
Nobody is more deserving. 49 continuous years of service to the Yankees as Crawford fouls it. And he is going to retire to North Carolina, get a dog that he's going to name Schrader.
After Ken Schrader, the famous NASCAR driver.
Buy a pickup truck and take Schrader to go buy seed.
Because he wants a backyard.
And it just sounds nice.
Yeah. He's just one of baseball and life's great people.
That's strike 3 on the inside corner. Good tailing pitch, 2 out. And Gene Monahan, who has been honored by the Yankees this year, getting his championship ring after going through that struggle in 2009.
Boy.
Held a press conference during the week, and when he walked out, it was such a great press conference. Members of the press got up and applauded him as he made his way out of the room.
Wow.
1 on, 2 out. Veritek, strike 1. Jason with a big RBI hit back in that 4-run 7th inning. And he came around to score on the 3-run shot by Adrian Gonzalez. Strike 2. Nothing and 2 the count. 1 out hit by Cameron. He's at first, and that's strike 3. And that sends us into the bottom of the 8th inning. Big bats coming up. Granderson to Shara Rodriguez for the Yankees, down by 6. first-round pick that never made it with the Giants. Bounced around, spent some time in Japan, and now he's back. And even with that highly thought-of rotation, the injury to Barry Zito, Vogelsong gets his chance, and he's made the most of it. Granderson first up for the Yankees here in the 8th. Teixeira and Rodriguez to follow. As Rich Hill, the left-hander, starts to crank it up for Boston. 1 ball, 1 strike on Granderson, 2 for 3. Easy for Crawford to his right. 1 out. And today's game, presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And by DirecTV. Don't just watch TV, DirecTV. 1 out. Here is Teixeira, who is hitless tonight with a walk. A pair of strikeouts and a tight breaking ball in for strike 1. Beckett struck out 9. Albers has struck out 2. And that's strike 2 on Teixeira. On deck is Alex Rodriguez, who's hitless. Right back up the middle and almost took Matt Albers' shoe with it. 1 out base hit. Up above, aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. Get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Joe, there's a saying in baseball, you're never as bad as you look, you're never as good as you think you are. But the Yankees offense looks really bad now. It looks sluggish, looks tired, and we're in May. You know, of course, the likes of Josh Beckett and Clay Buchholz, the way he pitched last night.
Boy, he was good last night.
That'll make you look that way, but they lost 2 to Kansas City. Lost a series to Kansas City, 2 out of 3. And they've lost 3 in a row coming in, but they do not look good right now. It's a long season, we know that and all that, but cause for concern in Yankee land.
Yeah, I would say, as we said earlier, this is game 5 of 16 straight.
Yeah.
For the Yankees, in a stretch where they play 32 games in 33 days. Ken Rosenthal, you have more from down on the field.
Well, Tim is absolutely right. The Yankees were first in the American League in runs in April, and entering tonight only 6th in May. They've had a favorable schedule, ton of games at home, off days, a lot of rest, and yet here they are. And you wonder, when the schedule gets tougher with so many older players, exactly how they'll do.
I just think, Kenny and Tim, this is becoming more and more a young man's game. There's been obviously so much talk about performance enhancing drugs and trying to limit the use of that in this game. But I think taking amphetamines out of this game has taken a big bite out of what some of the older players have done over the years.
It's a valid point.
As Rodriguez pops it into right. Cameron for out number 2. You can visit your local Lowe's to cast your Scott's MLB All-Star ballot and enter for a chance to win a VIP All-Star Week experience. Compliments of Scott's. When you talk about performance-enhancing drugs, amphetamines, a performance-enhancing drug. And baseball has done a very good job of taking that out of the game. And this is a long year, and while we talked about the Yankees schedule, the Red Sox are in game number 2 of playing 20 consecutive games over 20 days. Ball 1 to Cano, who's 0 for 3.
Remember back in 1962, Jim Brosnan was the first to coin the phrase the long season. And is that ever true about baseball?
It is a grind for 162 games as Veritek blocks that. And it's 2-0 on Cano.
Jim Brosnan, a former major league pitcher, also pitched for the Chicago Cubs. An excellent book, and that was 50 years ago, but he nailed it. It is a long, long season.
One on, two out, and a 2-0. 3-0. Matt Albers is in his second inning of work. Struck out 2 last inning, allowed a 1-out double. And still Rich Hill out there, ready to go if needed. Here is a 3-0. And that puts 2 on with 2 out. On this date in baseball history, a lot happened. May 14th, 1967, Mickey Mantle hits home run number 500. Willie Mays, his first home run as a member of the Mets. And in 96, Doc Gooden throws a no-hitter against the Seattle Mariners. The Mets still don't have a no-hitter in their history.
That's right. 49 years without a no-hitter.
Here's Martin. And that's ball 1 outside.
We have the Mets next Saturday night against the Yankees right here at Yankee Stadium. I think the Mets have 32 one-hitters. It's really remarkable since their organization has been built around pitching.
I mean,
staggering that they have
Ryan, Seaver, Kuzman, all the great pitching in the 80s.
Yeah.
Including Doc Gooden.
Right.
That ground out sends us into the 9th inning. Red Sox will bat. Up 6-0.
That's right. I'm gonna change the ending. Gonna throw away my title and toss it in the trash. Every minute after midnight.
That is Rewrite, and the new album by Paul Simon. And a strike is in at the knees to Ellsbury, who has a 2-run double tonight.
Wasn't one of Paul's lines in that song, we're going to change the ending? I think the Yankees would love to change the ending of this game.
It is 6-0 Boston. We're in the 9th. And a strike hits the outside corner from Ayala. Mickey Mantle, by the way, used to give Paul Simon trouble saying, how come he didn't put my name in a lyric? And Paul Simon's answer was, musically, you needed another syllable. DiMaggio, Mantle just didn't fit.
Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio, instead of where have you gone, Mickey Mantle? Didn't work.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Ellsbury, who's been on base twice. He's been on base 3 times. As he's on to start the 9th inning with a base hit against Ayala. So Jacoby, I mean, Ellsbury's a guy who has gone from the bottom of the lineup up to the top of the lineup. Carl Crawford has gone from the top end of the lineup down to the bottom end of the lineup in the number 8 spot. But whatever it is, the Red Sox have had this ride on the season. They started 0-6 as Pedroia strike 1. They won 2 of 3 from the Yankees in Boston on the weekend of April 9th. And now they are on the verge of winning their 17th against 13 losses since that weekend against the Yankees at Fenway.
And going to within 1 game of 500, and as Terry Francona says, that's where you start.
They've had 3 tries at a 500 record and they're 0-3. They will be knocking on that door, it seems, tomorrow night. As ball 1 goes down and into Pedroia. And what's happened here with Boston to the Yankees in this series, they've shown 2 guys in Buchholz and Beckett in the first 2 games who have looked like aces the way they've pitched. And they have John Lester going tomorrow night against Freddie Garcia. That's as good as this series could go after 2 games for the Boston Red Sox here at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
Pitch is high and the count 2-1 on Pedroia. Two and 2. Meanwhile, Beckett against the Yankees this season, 14 innings pitched, 6 hits, no runs, 19 strikeouts. That's out of play. Still 2-2. Pedroia has singled and stolen a base, struck out, been intentionally walked, singled and scored a run ahead of the Adrian Gonzalez home run in the 7th. And a little floater base hit into left by Pedroia. And the first 2 are on for Boston here in the 9th. Just a reminder, coming up tonight on Fox, your late local news, then Fringe, and 30 Seconds to Fame. Check your local listings.
Joe, we talked to Terry Francona about Carl Crawford before the game, and Terry said, you know, we do need to get Carl going, but we need to get Petey going. And tonight, Petey is going. He's 3 for 4, an intentional walk, but he singled to right, center, and left. And that's getting Petey going for the Red Sox.
Petey is Dustin Pedroia. When you have a number 3 hitter that's going like Adrian Gonzalez, you have a leadoff guy that's as hot as Jacoby Ellsbury. You get your number 2 guy going, and it's only a matter of time with Pedroia. Then combined with that good pitching, that's what the Red Sox will ride in this AL East. The big blow of this game, the blow it open came in the 7th. High fastball from Sabathia, deposited into the seats in right by Gonzalez, who ate a cheesesteak last night before the game went deep. Said he was going to do the same tonight, and I guarantee you he'll be eating one tomorrow.
That's his 5th home run in the last 4 games.
Count goes to 1-2. That home run for Adrian was the first extra base hit and his first long ball off a left-hander this season. That's due to Shera. Out at second, and a good job by Ayala covering a double play. 3-6-1. And over to third goes Ellsbury, 2 out.
Good play by the sure-handed Gold Glove of Teixeira, and Jeter's relay to Ayala in time. Nicely done.
And it'll bring in J.D. Drew, who will pinch hit for Euclid. And it is still Rich Hill getting loose. The bottom 3 due for the Yankees. There's strike 1. Interesting that when we talked to Sabathia yesterday before game 1 of this series, he said one of the tougher outs in this lineup is Drew for him, because he hangs in there so well against lefties. Faces a right-hander here, pinch hitting, and he takes ball 1.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when Mike Cameron was announced as the right fielder starting in tonight's game. CC Sabathia telling us that Jay Drew was the toughest left-handed out in the Red Sox lineup.
There is strike number 2. JD hitting .240 with 6 home runs, 22 RBIs. As he bats with a runner at third, 2 out here in the 9th. That'll get out of play.
I think what this does is it assures us our first glance at Jose Iglesias. So he'll probably come in as a shortstop, and then Jed Lowry perhaps moving to third base since Euclid is out of the game.
Iglesias got his first start during the week. He got that on Wednesday. And he's getting loose. Where's number 76? The number he wore in spring training. 21-year-old Cuban defector, and they talk about his lightning quick hands.
Oh man.
And he was starting to get hot with a bat at AAA Pawtucket when they called him up. Called him up when Scudero went on the DL with a rib cage muscle strain. Good job by Drew to spoil that pitch. Iglesias, by the way, suffered a broken hand last year. And that glove, he keeps close to him now. When he was going in as a defensive replacement in his major league debut, Marco Scudero hit it from him. So can you imagine, 21 years old, to get your first chance, and that's like the nightmare. You can't find your glove.
He hit it behind the camera in the camera well.
Now it doesn't leave his side.
No.
Here's the 1-2. In the air to center for Granderson, and that sends us into the bottom of the 9th inning. Bottom of the order coming up for the Yankees, who trail by 6. This isn't exactly like Papelbon or Rivera walking out of the bullpen. It's Rich Hill who gets the ball as we go into the bottom of the 9th inning, trying to get the final 3 outs. And the lefty who is now in the bullpen for the Boston Red Sox. And Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Lowe's. Rich Hill has been a nice addition to this Red Sox pen as Iglesias does take over at short. Lowry goes to third. And we'll see what Rich Hill, who was with the Cubs and the Orioles and the Cardinals and now is working in his 4th game. You see the numbers, they're good after pitching at AAA. We'll work to Gardner first up in the 9th. And we've talked about it a couple of times, Tim, but this should be a stressful post game for the Yankees side when this one is over.
I was just trying to think when the last time the Yankees were in a bind like this with one of their players, where a press conference was being held with anticipation, I guess, from an explaining standpoint. It's a muddle right now.
If you're just joining us, Jorge Posada, an hour before the game, asked out of the lineup where he was due to hit 9th. Whether that didn't sit well or his lack of productivity as a DH was bothering him, or it was his back, which came out later midway into this game, we don't know. But that word is coming evidently from Posada at the end of this ball game. Tony Pena is the acting manager as Gerardi has been ejected from this game. Breaking ball is a strike over the outside corner to Brett Gardner. And it's still 2-2. Gardner is 0 for 3. The Yankees have 6 hits total, and they've been handed 3 walks. A 2-2. Jammed him off the plate. No chance. And an infield base hit for Brett Gardner. The UEFA Champions League final is traditionally one of the most watched soccer matches in all the world. And on Saturday, May 28th, it comes to Fox. Barcelona battles Manchester United at historic Wembley Stadium. The UEFA Champions League final, Saturday, May 28th at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific in high def, only on Fox. Here is Swisher with 1 on, nobody out. Good breaking ball for strike 1. Rich Hill has been a starter in his big league career, and he is trying to adapt and become a situational left-hander. 90 miles an hour on a pretty good fastball coming from that sidearm slot, and it's 0-2 as the former Yankee Alfredo Aceves gets loose for Boston in their pen. Still 0-2. On deck is Jones as the Yankees try and make something happen here in the 9th. That's outside. Talked about Freddie Garcia getting the ball tomorrow night for the Yankees against John Lester. The Yankees, I think, Tim, have to be pretty pleased with what they've gotten from both Colon, who started last night. There's Lester. And Freddie Garcia, who gets the ball tomorrow night with a record of 2-2 coming off a win.
Boy, absolutely. You don't know how far they're going to be able to go. That's the problem. But Colon throwing as hard as 96 miles an hour last night. Freddie Garcia, I guess we overused that word. I have dazzling tonight, but he has done all of that. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. They're 4-4, but they have been very valuable since Phil Hughes is on the disabled list. And good news from the Yankees need some good news right now, because they have not received a lot lately. But Phil Hughes' condition is not as bad as once thought. Probably no surgery, and he had a cortisone shot in St. Louis, I believe, right?
He was checked out there and found out that he did not have a circulation problem. It was right shoulder inflammation, which is what the Yankees were hoping for. As after Switzer hit one off the end of the bat for out number 1 into left. Andrew Jones is at the plate with a 1-1 count. They could get Phil Hughes back in mid-July. He's still that far away. If all things go right, there is a strike. It's 1-2.
Usually when pitchers like Bartolo Colon and Freddie Garcia show up in spring training, you figure, well, if we get a few starts out of 1 or 2, maybe 6 starts until we get everything straightened out, that'd be fine. But right now, they appear to be a solid part of the rotation. Now that could change in the next 3 or 4 starts, but
well, that's out of desperation.
Yeah, right.
They tried Kevin Millwood. He's opted out of his deal, but they have a guy that was a big winner for the Cubs a couple of years ago, Carlos Silva, who was instructed by Larry Rothschild. Now the Yankees pitching coach is pitching well in the minor leagues as they sign him to a free agent deal after he was let go by Chicago.
And Rothschild being a pitching coach with the Cubs last year, that's how he was familiar with Carlos Silva and advised the Yankees that he's worth a shot.
Here's a 3-2. Strike 3, out number 2. Andrew Jones strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. And the Yankees are down to their final out. And those who are Yankee fans left here at Yankee Stadium want to see if there's anything left for Jeter tonight, who has a hit in 2,965 in his career. Gardner takes second on strike 1 to Derek Jeter. No stolen base will be given, but it takes a force out away at second. 0-1 on Jeter. There's strike 2.
I know of no other sport where the word indifference comes into play in the scoring apparatus.
Badminton. Badminton, they use the word indifferent. No, they don't.
No.
Jeter waits for an 0-2. And the Red Sox have won the first 2 games of this 3-game series. And Boston now just 4 games out of first. The Yankees remain 2 out. Gonzalez with another home run. Ellsbury with another couple of hits. And Josh Beckett was outstanding in getting win number 3 on the year.
Yeah, the story of this game, as far as the Red Sox are concerned, Josh Beckett, and that's a good story from their standpoint.
It was Buchholz last night, Beckett tonight. Francona will hand the ball to Lester tomorrow night. So Paul Simon has been our artist of the night. Post-game show is coming up from the studio on the other side of the break. I would rather hear from Paul Simon as we say goodnight from the Bronx than either one of us. Good night.
Every way you look at it, you lose. You're gone, Joe DiMaggio. Our nation turns its lonely eyes to you. Ooh, what's that you say? This is Robinson. Joe has left and gone away.